She's a 20th century fox.
So yeah.
20th century fox.
Anyway.
That's an old song.
Song.
Also we just watched a movie called Scanners by David Cronenberg. And we've been watching his movies all week long.
Yes.
His early stuff to start.
The Brood.
Shivers, Rabid, Scanners. And then we're going to be watching
Dead Zone.
The Dead Zone
and then
The
Fly.
Fly.
With the gold balloon.
I was only an insect that dreamed he was a man. And now the dream is over.
You said that to me once before.
Yeah.
I don't know if we
That's a great line, man. He's like, I've always been an insect that only dreamed he was a man.
And now the dream
is over.
But anyway, this is the second episode of the Blake and Zep Talk Show. We're going to do 5 episodes and see how the views are. And if the views are good, we're going to continue.
Yeah.
So yes. Anyway, we're going to start off today's episode with talking about something that is amazing. Oreo mega stuff. You want to say anything about
these things? If you put one of these in your mouth,
I'm not hungry. I can't have one.
Oh, okay.
But you do.
I mean, you gotta let me show you this.
Yeah.
It's so stuffed with that cream.
Yeah.
It blows your mind.
I think it's like a meal.
I'll do half.
Okay,
it's like eating a cake condensed down to the size of a cylinder.
Yeah. And, so...
that is unbelievable.
Just a few days ago, I had one of those things. I had half of one. And I felt nauseous because I just ate and I had another one. And I had an Oreo for dessert. And I felt nauseous because of how, filling they are. So I had to reluctantly spit it out because I didn't want to vomit. I had to spit it out. I had to go, bleh. Not like...
He's the first person in history that got full...
From one Oreo.
From one Oreo.
Half of one Oreo.
It was amazing. He was just he couldn't swallow one more bite.
Yeah, I couldn't.
If you were out in public, that would be...
a tough scenario.
A tough scenario.
I was in quite a pickle. So how would you do today?
Look at that person spitting out.
What is he spitting out?
And I mean, you don't want to know what, it's not.
What?
Spit is the chocolate in this makes your
saliva. Yeah. What'd you do that other half?
Look like terrible.
What'd you do that other half? I didn't see.
Oh, I threw it away.
No, you didn't. You ate it.
I ate it, of course.
I didn't even see him.
I'm telling you, man, that was... If you ever want to, wake up, have a mega Oreo. It's all you need. If you had a mega Oreo and a cup of coffee, you'd be working 18-hour shifts. You'd be working harder than, the hardest worker. You'd be a millionaire.
Let's talk about coffee. Almond Joy coffee.
Did we talk about that last time? No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
They were giving out samples of this coffee bean at the local supermarket. Almond Joy coffee bean. And luckily I have a grinder.
Yeah.
And we made Almond Joy coffee.
Yeah.
Best coffee I've ever had in this world.
Yeah. It woke me up.
Yeah, you put half and half in there as cream. It was delicious. I mean, we're talking about two things we absolutely love. The Oreos and the...
coffee. Almond Joy coffee.
Almond Joy coffee. You know what we got to do?
What?
Almond Joy coffee with an Almond Joy.
Yeah.
At the same time. That would be incredible. That might be sensory overload. What happened to those? Yeah. What happened to those two? They did an Almond Joy coffee.
We're just on the couch going... Now, let me tell you...
Food overload.
Now, let's talk about more food, and then we'll move on to other stuff that's not related to food.
Food?
Yeah.
No, we're going to move on to other subjects besides food, just so you know.
Yeah.
Lobster, crab,
shrimp, crawfish.
Crawfish. Remember that show, the Seafood Boil, this mega eater ate.
I did a review on that.
Randy Santel, he had this, crab legs. Two kind of crab legs. Lobster, crawfish.
Oh, and I thought you were talking about...
clams, shrimp.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about that Ultimate Feast I had on Red Lobster.
Well, that's
I did a review on that. Go check that out, guys.
That's really good, yeah.
Check that out. It's not recent, but it's 2-3 months old. But anyway, unpopular opinion, and a lot of you people aren't going to agree with me. I freaking love Circus peanuts. I love them. They're great. I'm not joking right now. They're amazing. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the comments saying, how can...
Give them a try.
Circus peanuts are horrible.
You can't overload on those. Yeah. 1 or 2 and you're done.
They're very sugary. I'll give it that. But they're amazing.
And they're like orange color.
Yeah.
And we were chewing them and enjoying them. Blake said, just try letting it melt in your mouth, which was like a religious experience.
Yeah, like, I don't mean to be weird, but suck on it. Suck on the peanut. It'll be amazing. Yeah. It'll be amazing for you.
Circus peanuts.
Circus peanuts.
And they've probably been around since the 40s, 30s, 1930s. Kids are eating circus peanuts and enjoying them like at candy shops in the 30s. Probably what they didn't have in the 30s was like this sour candy that's available today.
Spicy stuff.
Yeah, Pop Rocks and things like that.
Like back in the old days, like where kings were a thing. You give a king a tacky, and they're like, he tried to poison me. Off with his head. Yeah. Off with his head.
A Taki.
Or
any kind of spicy Doritos. A king would think that, or the food taster for the king would think someone was putting acid in the king's food. But then they did have hot peppers back then, so maybe they did make some hot dishes, and the king would be like, I like those peppers. The ones the animals don't eat. I like them. Because I grew a garden one time. I worked so hard on this garden. Hours upon hours. You have to till the land, put fertilizer in I spent a fortune. I had corn. I had cucumbers. I radishes, and I planted jalapeno peppers and cayenne peppers. So I come out one day, and everything is eaten by rabbits and deers.
Why?
Except the hot peppers.
Oh.
They don't touch that stuff. It's like it keeps them away. So out of that whole garden, all I got was like cayenne peppers
and spicy
and jalapeno peppers.
I did a challenge.
My corn, my beautiful corn on the cob, which grew like these stalks, the deer had or beavers. I mean, first of all, our house was located in like the animal kingdom. Every possible animal was around that house. Beavers, raccoons, squirrels, woodpeckers.
Ants.
We'd hear woodpeckers like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was like the wild kingdom. I'm surprised. I mean, people that have like a house in the middle of Africa don't have as many animals as we have.
That house had so, and is that the reason? Oh yeah. So here's a story. So this is back at the old house. Me and my grandmother were counting coins. I was like 4, 5, 6. And then we hear this loud crash coming from her room, and the whole ceiling collapsed.
That was crazy.
Now, say she was lying in her bed, she could have been injured or worse. So luckily, me and her were counting coins at the time. I don't know why. And then we just heard a from her room, and the whole ceiling just collapsed.
Yeah, that was scary that day. It was
scary.
Water damage.
Water damage.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like things like that will happen if you own a house. I guess that's why a lot of people rent.
Yeah.
But still, the freedoms of a house are incredible.
Yes.
No noisy neighbors, and you could have anything, a yard, everything. But
no.
Yeah, but those were the days. I mean, of course, all the animal kingdom world.
Kingdom. Now, let's share some stories about our past. You had a story about cats.
Cats.
Remember that story? You told it yesterday.
Oh, yeah, the woman. I mean, we were in our old neighborhood, so I saw this house I used to deliver newspapers to. And, of course, you get all different kind of types. When you deliver newspapers as a kid, you meet the whole entire neighborhood practically. Yeah. You meet every kind of personality you could possibly meet. And this old woman, kind old woman, really old, like the kind of moves very slow across a room. She would get a paper, and I would collect the money for the paper every week. Once a week was collection day. And this woman's house was so creepy and dark, and she had more cats than you could count. That's what was so scary, because there would be a cat every foot. Every 1 foot there'd be a cat. I'd go in. First of all, it was so dark in there. All you would see is like her couch, the outline of her couches, and and a rocking chair, and you would the room would move in the dark because there was just cats. And then I was like, this lady's really creepy. And the weird thing is, other people, you go to their door to get your collection money, and they're like, oh yeah, here you go, here's a couple bucks. She like had to get her money, so I'd have to wait, and she was so slow going across the room, man. It was like an unbelievable. I never held that against her.
How many times did you go there?
Once a week, and then so she got the money and then would walk slowly back to me. And like I was allergic to cats at the time, and I could feel the itching in my nose, and it was that story interested Blake because we watched a horror film about cats. Uncanny it was called, and it's all about cats and like an older woman who had like 1 million cats. Yeah. So I do not know whatever happened to this woman.
When was the last time you saw her?
When I collected the newspaper, probably my last week.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was done with that. But that was always a memory in my mind. And then I had heard, now I don't know if this is true or not, but my friend had bought that house at one point.
Really?
And lived there with his wife. And I never made it over there to see if that was the same house that was the cat house. Because would I even buy a house like that? I mean, plus what happened to all those cats when she passed away?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really weird.
Now, what year was it, probably? Like, how old do you think she was?
90. She looked 90.
Yeah.
I mean, she looked 100, really. And speaking of a really old-looking woman, another friend of mine, my other friend said, hey, we could just, like, go in this guy's house. It's real creepy. And I'm like, after school. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, we could just walk in and check it out. I'm like, are you crazy? And he's like, yeah, I want to show you how creepy this house is. So we're walking through this dark house looking for his friend. Like, if he was home, we would have just, like, walked in his bedroom like, hey, Albert, how you doing, man? What's going on,
His
man?
name wasn't Albert, right?
I think it was Albert, yeah. So, so all of a sudden, from around this corner, out of the darkness, a zombie woman came out of the shadows, and I screamed like a girl. This was a zombie standing before me.
It wasn't really a zombie.
It wasn't really a zombie. It was his grandmother or mother, but she was like really wrinkly and old. Like her face was like leather. It was like a makeup, a zombie makeup. I screamed, and she's like, "Hey!" And then we had to think quick, and we're like, Albert, is Albert here? It's like, no. I was like, I couldn't believe it, man.
Her face was like leather.
First of all, we're in someone's house without even like knocking, and looking for Albert. Just like you walk into someone's house. I mean, back in those days, people used to not lock their doors, and when friends would come over, they might just walk right in your front door. It was like kind of a common thing. So it was weird, like people like knock, knock, and then they're in your house. I mean, there's no like, who is it? It was just like knock, knock, and then they're in your house.
There could be some nutcase there.
Yeah, I mean, this was like the era of the 70s when there were there was like a lot more serial killers in the 70s than there are now, but people used to leave their doors unlocked.
That's stupid.
Yeah. But it was. I love that childhood memories of the 70s, of course. Everything, the neighborhood, the adventures, the exploring. Yeah. But that was a crazy old woman that scared the heck out of me. Like, I screamed like, ah! I didn't even scream like that. I can't even replicate my scream because it was a girl's scream. It was a girl's scream, and everyone in the room froze. Like all the other kids that were there, like froze. And they're like, Albert? Is Albert here? Like, and she's like, no. What? Albert's friends. And she was like a foreign woman, too, so she could barely speak.
I mean, it had to be his grandmother. I'm
like, thank you, Steve. You finally got me. I don't know, man. It was good. That's like Steve, my friend Steve, used to drive this mini bike around his streets. This little bike that was like 2 feet off the ground. We're like,
no.
I can imagine what the neighbors were thinking. Like,
You have some crazy childhood stories that we should save for the other episodes.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Yeah, but let me tell you my story. I was in 2nd grade, and it was like 2014, 2015, And I woke up that day. I wasn't feeling all right. I was a little bit nauseous and sick. I was gagging a lot.
Oh, God.
And then I still went to school because I don't know why. And so my friend, I was walking through the school to my homeroom class, and my friend came up to me and said, "Hey Blake, how are you doing?" And instead of saying hi, how are you? I'm doing good. I went.
I love that story. Yeah, hey, how you doing?
And when I did that, I threw up in my mouth, and my whole entire mouth was full of vomit. And my friend and my friend was like, "Oh, okay, I'll talk to you later."
Yeah, I'll see you around.
I still talked to him after that.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
yeah, he was still my friend after that. And then we walk into homeroom, the entire homeroom class, I was just like this.
Oh, that's so sick.
I was like that the whole time. And then since we were in second grade, we were still learning our numbers and alphabet and stuff. So the teacher was like, "Okay, everyone, time for the alphabet. Say it with me now. A, B, C." And then I was like, the entire class was like, A, B, C, D. And I was just like,
Oh, my God. Oh, that's so gross.
And it was just crazy. But then eventually, I don't know how I got the vomit. I definitely did not swallow it, I can tell you that. But I somehow spit it out. And for the rest of the day, I was fine. For the rest of the day, I was fine. Rest of the day.
Oh, God.
Now
But so you would think that it being in your mouth would make you really throw up all over again. Like you're keeping it in your mouth. But I do know the kind of vomit he's talking about because I experienced something in high school too. It's not food. It's like clear
water,
saliva. It looks like alien saliva. You ever see the Alien movies?
Yeah, from the Alien movie.
It looks like that.
Don't they use that kind of stuff in McDonald's milkshakes?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean the milkshakes at McDonald's use the same substance they use in the Alien movies for saliva.
Yeah.
That's what makes your milkshake not melt. For McDonald's, you ever see that glob in there? That's that mycicillin or something like that. But anyway, about like when you're a young kid, you do have an incident at school, whether it be a bathroom incident or
Luckily, I never had any bathroom
incident.
incidents.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. But I mean, we're talking second grade here,
Yeah.
very young. But I could see where it would, you wouldn't know to stay home. Like when you get a little older, you're like, I don't feel
like
good.
Maybe third, fourth grade, you're like, oh, I don't feel well, maybe I should stay home. But second grade, yeah.
You want to tell them the other little vomit story here? Okay.
It was third grade. So it was second, third, and fourth grade. I all had some incident where it was like some medical incident. But third grade, same incident. I wasn't feeling well. And then the whole day again, I was gagging. I was like, didn't this happen to me last year?
Oh God!
Why is this It was later in the year too. It was like 2016. So it was like February, March of 2000. Maybe it was like April of 2016. I don't know. But then I threw up. It was towards the end of the day, and I threw up all over my desk. By that time, all the kids were out of the class. And I still went to school, by the way, obviously. And all the kids were out of the class, except for a few. But surprisingly, none of them noticed. My entire desk was wet. And then I was like, oh no, what do I do? And then I was getting it was one of those desks that you open and close. It was one of those kind of desks. So my stuff was in there, so I was getting it out. And then my friend was like, oh, Blake, because I was like having trouble with the desk because I didn't want my hands to get messy. And my friend was like, oh, Blake, looks like you're having trouble with the desk. Let me hold it open for you.
Like you're doing it again. You're talking about it, and you gagged. All right.
I spit. I'm sorry. And my friend was like, here, let me hold it open for you. And then I was getting my things out. And then my friend was like, Blake, why is this desk wet?
Why is this desk wet?
And then I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe the kid that was here before me spilled some water.
This looks like a desk.
It's a tray.
I know,
yeah. But then he was like, oh, maybe. And then I guess my friend told the teacher and was like, oh, I remember the kid's name that was sat there before me. His name was Jaden. And I was like, oh, Miss whoever, Jaden spilled some water on the desk. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go talk to him. And then the teacher came back to me and said, Blake, Jaden didn't have a bottle of water. And I was like, oh, I don't know then. And then I walked off and never heard from it again.
The teacher's mind was blown.
Like, how'd this desk get all wet? Blake didn't have a bottle of water. Jaden didn't have a bottle of water. How'd this desk get so wet? And I highly doubt that my friend ever knew that he touched my vomit. If he found out, he would have been like, Blake, how can you let me touch your vomit?
Blake, it's amazing, man. It's good to happen when you were young because
Yeah.
those kids don't remember. It's in their head and out of their head. They don't think about it 5 years later, like, oh, that puke I touched on it. It's just in their head and out of their head. They never remember years later.
The reason I remember it so much was because I was the victim.
Yeah.
I was the victim, so yeah.
Well, I remember having a bloody nose in 9th grade English class.
What, 9th grade?
Yeah, and it was a packed house, man. It was like the classroom was just packed with people, like tons. And I was like doing my work, and I was rubbing my nose because I thought it might have a little run or something. And it was just that streak of red you see.
I've had that before.
And I was like, oh, I got a bloody nose? How the heck did that happen? And so I went, Mr. Sembalisti, I have a bloody nose. And like he could see the blood on my hand, and everyone in the class was like when someone says, I have a bloody nose, like,
everyone just turns their eyes to you.
I guarantee you everyone will look. And he's like, Jeff, you got to go to can I help you go to the I go, I just need to get to the bathroom for a minute. I'll be okay. So I go to the restroom, and I'm using the paper towels up, of course. And then it's still bleeding. Like I'm not
You've
too
told
worried.
me this story.
I don't know why I did. I don't know why
story.
I did this. I just went like that, and like the mirror in the bathroom got like a spray of blood. And then I was like, that's like a movie. And then I did it on like a wall, and then I was doing it like on the sink. And then I'm like, I better go to the nurse, man. This isn't stopping. So I go to the nurse, and she calls my parents, and they come and get me. She puts like a ice pack on her. So the next day, my teacher's like, Jeff, we were all so worried about you. You never came back. I sent Keith Heenan looking for you, and he said he found the bathroom all full of blood. Can you imagine with the janitor? He like works at that school. He's like, ho hum, time to mop the. He's like, was there a murder in this room? Oh man.
That's something I want to do. That's something I want to do. I want to purposely. I don't want to have one now, but like, say when I'm back in school, because
no, you don't want to do this stuff like that.
But I'm currently homeschooled now.
Listen, in the 70s and 80s, you could get away with anything.
Nowadays they do like some DNA testing and be like, oh, the blood matches Blake.
Right. There was just something about you could just get away with anything in those days, man.
Especially back in like the 1800s and early 1900s, bank robberies were so easy to do.
Wow. Yeah, they were. I mean, their outlaws were actually legends and famous for robbing from the rich and supposedly giving to the poor, but they really kept it for themselves.
Yeah.
But did you know that Jesse James was a cold-blooded killer?
Yes.
He was a killer. He shot my great-great-grandfather.
What about John Marston?
John Marston.
From Red Dead.
Red Dead Redemption. But no, I mean, they were all killers. But they didn't want to go to jail because back in those days, they used to hang horse thieves.
Oh.
So imagine if we had a society today, if someone stole a car, they would be executed.
Yeah, like this, like hung in front of hundreds of people.
Although there'd probably be a heck of a lot less cars stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to teach. I mean, yeah, that would teach people a lesson not to do crime.
True.
Now I'm out of school stories. I need to think of some. So you tell one more school story.
I don't have one. I mean, I have so many. I mean, they'll pop in my head. But we've had a pretty good show for our second episode.
Now, I hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to end it here. Luckily, there's no noise behind the curtain or anything asking if the fries are crispy enough.
Are they crispy enough?
Aren't they crispy enough? Anyway, we're going to end the second episode here, guys. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the second episode of the Blake and Zeb Talk Show. On the 5th episode, when we're done with it, we're going to see what our views are. And we might continue, we might not. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, comment, like, or subscribe. We love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.